Hello, this is a video on Pixar's story structure. Uh, the tagline for this is Once Upon a Time. Here is a story structure developed by Pixar, though I've seen it in other places, including in different improv schools. And of course, it resembles many myths and fables and earlier stories than how we tell them now. Kid stories, one might say. The seven different parts of the story structure are once upon a time, and every day until one day, and because of that, and because of that, until finally, and ever since then. When I'm teaching this in class, I often recommend repeating this again and again till you have it, and then running it through several different stories that you create, either individually or with a group. Act one, you can consider Act one the base reality, and the beats of this story structure that I feel fit into Act one would be once upon a time and every day. During these times of the story, the main character lives their ordinary life, whether it is dynamic or boring. Ordinary is just specific to that character and the associated characters connected to the main character. Uh, the main character lives with their flaw, and this is often a point of growth they must develop through the story. So their flaw is often what rolls into the conflict, and it's what they have to overcome throughout the rising action. Act two, the conflict and rising action. The beats of the story for Act two, I would say, are until one day, and because of that, and because of that. In Act two, the character enters a new world. It should be a world that they proactively enter. When they face the conflict, they might deliberate before going into this Act two. They might think about whether or not they want to change as a character or whether they want to try to change the world. But they're going to go into a new world. It might not be a drastically different world, but it takes on a different tone or even a different environment, or the world is kind of thrown upside down. The character must proactively face their problems with ups and downs. So sometimes they're going to do well, and sometimes they're going to be doing less than well, depending on the rhythm of the story and the genre of the story. And of course, this is a generalization. Lots of stories are anti-narrative, or they're existential, and they're just kind of flat, or there's no traditional story structure to them. So this is for a more traditional story. Act three, the climax, falling action, and denouement. The beats of the structure I would consider for this are until finally and ever since then. It's hard to say exactly where Act three begins. It's usually like after the climax. And so I'm going to put until finally solidly into Act three. The character overcomes or perishes during the worst obstacle, that would be the climax, and the character takes on a new synthesis of the lessons they have learned through the machine of the story. So if Act one is the thesis, Act two is the antithesis, and then this Act three is the synthesis, where the character recognizes how they have to change how they're approaching problems, and they have a new outlook on life, or they've totally changed the society around them. And those are the three acts of the Pixar story for their structure. And here it is one more time.